Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into, well, a name everyone knows, Rolex. The ultimate luxury watch, right? But the story behind it? It's probably not what you think.
Yeah, it really isn't. Forget the image of inherited wealth or, Swiss watchmaking dynasties. The founder, Hans Wilsdorf, started as a German orphan in 1893, lost his parents when he was only 12.
And things didn't exactly get easier. The sources mention he got a small inheritance, something like 3,300 German gold marks.
That's right. But then disaster struck again. It was stolen while he was traveling. So here he is, still young, basically penniless.
He lost everything. But the one thing he apparently didn't lose, this unstoppable passion for watches.
Exactly. And that's crucial. You can almost see how losing control financially might have fueled this obsession with mechanical perfection, with creating something reliable, something ordered. It's quite a beginning.
It really sets the stage. Though today, our mission is to kind of dig into that story. We want to pull out the key business moves, the engineering leaps that Wilsdorf made. How did he build this icon by focusing, really, on utility first, not just luxury?
We'll track his journey from coming up with the idea of a bracelet watch to, creating the first truly waterproof watches. It's all about solving practical problems.
Okay, let's unpack this. So his first real step into the watch world was moving to Switzerland around 1900. He was, 19, got a job at an exporting firm, Kuehne+Nagel. How did that shape him?
Oh, fundamentally. His job sounds incredibly tedious, actually. He had to sit there and check the accuracy of hundreds, maybe thousands of watches every single day.
Wow. Talk about repetitive.
Right, but dealing with all those errors, all those inconsistencies, it just hammered home this desire to make perfect watches. He wasn't just selling, he was seeing the flaws up close.
Okay, so he understands the mechanical side, the flaws. Then he moves to London in 1903, right around when his money was stolen, actually, and shifts into sales and marketing. And this is where he has a big realization.
Yeah, a crucial insight. He looked around and saw his competitors were all focused on making pocket watches fancier. More decoration, more complications,
Like piling stuff on.
Exactly. But Wilsdorf realized what actual people, businessmen, travelers really needed was something, simpler. Accurate, yes, but also durable. An elegant but functional elegance. Utility was the missing piece.
That's the core idea then. So even though he had no money, he's just 24, he manages to get funding from his brother-in-law. They start Wilsdorf and Davis in 1905, and that first product really embodied this utility idea, didn't it?
It did. The portfolio pocket watch. Mechanically, maybe not revolutionary, but its purpose was. It was smaller, genuinely portable, and came in this nice leather pouch, sturdy, but also looked premium.
Designed for
Travelers, people needing to catch trains, buses, reliable timekeeping on the go. Pure, targeted usefulness.
Okay, so he's improving the pocket watch, but even then he was already thinking ahead, wasn't he? Predicting wristwatches would take over completely.
Which was a bold call back then, because the big problem, the huge hurdle, was perception. Wristwatches were seen as purely feminine, delicate little things. No serious man wore one.
Right, so how do you overcome that? His 1906 strategy, the bracelet watch, that was clever.
Really clever. He tapped into the fact that bracelets were fashionable for men and women in Britain. So he launched these gold and silver watches on metal straps, but he called them bracelet watches. Deliberately avoided the term wristwatch.
So he's kind of snuck it in under a different name, appealing to both genders by using an existing trend.
Precisely. It was like a bridge. Get people used to wearing a watch on their wrist, framed as a bracelet, before, the utility aspect really took over later.
But hang on, that seems risky. He's all about accuracy and durability, but this bracelet watch relies on a fashion trend. Weren't people saying, hey, you're sacrificing function for style here?
It was definitely a balancing act. But Wilsdorf knew, look, you can have the best watch movement in the world, but if people won't wear the thing, it doesn't matter. The key was the movements inside those bracelet watches were still sourced with that same focus on quality. The style was the hook to get it onto people's wrists.
Okay, got it. So the style gets it worn, the quality keeps it credible, then comes the branding. He needed a name.
Yeah, and not just any game. Short, unique, easy to say in multiple languages, crucial for export, and it needed to look good printed small on a watch dial.
That's a lot of criteria.
It is. Apparently, he tried over 100 combinations, just mixing letters, trying things out. Then, the story goes, the name Rolex just sort of came to him. He liked the sound, how short it was, trademarked in 1908.
Rolex. Okay, so
Yeah.
He's got the strategy, he's got the name, but to really build a global reputation, he needed to prove the mechanics right. There were still importing movements before 1910.
Yes. And wristwatch movements were tiny, notoriously less accurate than the bigger pocket watch movements. So Wilsdorf doubled down. He really dove into the study of horology, talked to experts, and developed his own movement, the 15-line caliber 200.
And this is where it gets really interesting because he didn't just say it was good.
No way! He sent it off to the official chronometer testing institute in Switzerland. A huge gamble. And in 1910, boom! That Rolex movement becomes the world's first ever wristwatch movement to get a chronometer certificate.
Wow, the first one.
The first one. An official independent stamp saying, this small watch is incredibly accurate. That just blew competitors out of the water and opened up exports across Europe.
That certification must have felt like hitting the jackpot. Perfect timing for growth, except then World War I happened.
Yeah, talk about a setback. Suddenly, the British government slapped this massive 33% export duty on watches. Needed money for the war effort.
33%. That would make them instantly unaffordable for many.
Exactly. Prices shot up, sales just cratered overnight. It was an existential threat.
But Wilsdorf, again, he adapts. He doesn't fold. He moves the whole company, right?
To Switzerland. Safer ground, politically and economically. And officially renamed it the Rolex Watch Co. Ltd. But the real genius was seeing opportunity in the crisis itself. He watched the soldiers.
In the trenches.
He saw how impractical pocket watches were. Imagine trying to fish one out of your coat, under fire, needing both hands on your rifle. Impossible. Soldiers needed time, coordination, instantly on their wrists.
So the war itself created the need for a robust wristwatch, the trench watch.
Exactly, and Rolex delivered. Unbreakable glass, well, much stronger glass, a tough case, and crucially, luminescent hands using radium paint so you could read it in the dark.
Turning that feminine accessory into a vital piece of military gear.
Absolutely, and it saved the company during the war. Then afterwards, think about it. These soldiers come home heroes, right? And they're wearing wristwatches. That single image completely normalized the wristwatch for men almost overnight. Wilsdorf's early prediction finally came true, thanks to a world war.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So the wristwatch is now accepted, even essential. What's the next problem for Wilsdorf to solve?
The elements. Dust and water were still the enemy. They'd seep into the case and ruin the delicate movement's accuracy.
Right, because most watches back then just had backs that sort of snapped on.
Yeah, like a lid on a tin, left tiny gaps. Wilsdorf needed something totally sealed, and in 1926, he unveiled the Rolex Oyster.
The Oyster? How did it work?
It was revolutionary. Instead of snapping, it used a screw-down back and a screw-down bezel with grooves like a jar lid. Add rubber gaskets and you get a hermetic seal. But the real breakthrough was the winding crown, usually the weakest point for water entry. Rolex designed a crown that screwed down onto the case, sealing it tight. He described it like closing a submarine hatch.
Like a submarine's hatch. That's where the Oyster name comes from, isn't it? Sealed tight.
Precisely. And what's fascinating here is how Wilsdorf marketed this. It wasn't enough to just invent it. He had to show people it worked.
Enter Mercedes Gleitz.
Yes, 1927. She was famous for attempting to swim the English Channel. Wilsdorf sponsored her, gave her an Oyster watch. She wore it on a ribbon around her neck during her swim attempt.
And she didn't actually complete the swim, right? She had to be pulled out after hours in the freezing water.
Correct. Rescued after about 10 hours. But, and this is the genius part, the watch was perfectly fine, still ticking. It became this huge news story, the endurance, the survival of the watch.
Proof under extreme pressure. And he didn't stop there with the publicity stuff.
Oh no, he famously started putting Rolex oysters inside fish tanks in jewelry store windows, sometimes with actual fish swimming around them.
You can't get much more direct than that, see? It works underwater.
Exactly, pure visual proof. He also hired other stars, actresses like Miss Evelyn Leigh, for similar ads. Just relentless promotion of this waterproof, durable feature.
Okay, so the Oyster case solves the water and dust problem. The watch is accurate, it's sealed. But there's still one nagging issue.
The winding. You still had to unscrew that waterproof crown every day or two to wind the watch.
Which creates a risk, right? If you forget to screw it down tightly again, or the seal wears out, poof, there goes your waterproofing. The human element.
Exactly. So the final piece of the puzzle for Wilsdorf was, how do we make it so you never have to open the crown for winding? A fully automatic self-winding watch. That led to the perpetual mechanism.
The perpetual rotor. How did that work?
He invented this semicircular weight, the rotor, inside the watch case. As you moved your arm throughout the day, just naturally, this weight would swing. It would rotate 360 degrees.
And that movement.
Through a series of gears, it wound the mainspring automatically. Your own motion powered the watch.
So you just wear it and it stays wound. Genius.
It meant the crown could stay screwed down, sealed perpetually. That's why the model became the Rolex Oyster Perpetual. Rolex was the first to really nail this mechanism successfully and combine it with the waterproof case. It protected the watch's core function perfectly.
It's just relentless problem solving.
Yeah.
Even after personal tragedy, I believe he lost his wife in 1944.
He did, yes. A significant blow, personally. But professionally, he regrouped and kept innovating. The focus shifted slightly after the war, maybe towards practical efficiency for the modern world.
Which brings us to 1945, the 40th anniversary. The Datejust.
Right, another world first. The first automatic waterproof chronometer wristwatch that also showed the date in a little window on the dial. Sounds simple now, but think about it in a fast-paced business world, knowing the date instantly was incredibly useful.
But reading that tiny date could be tricky, I imagine.
It was, which led to another iconic Rolex feature, the Cyclops lens.
The little magnifier bubble over the date.
Exactly. The story goes, Wilsdorf got the idea seeing how a drop of water on the watch crystal magnified the numbers underneath, so he engineered a small 2.5x magnifying lens right onto the crystal itself. Again, solving a simple practical user problem.
So from basic survival to everyday efficiency. And then the final phase, the 50s and 60s, it seems like a shift towards extreme specialization. The tool watches.
Yeah, this really cemented the legend. Rolex started designing watches not just for general wear, but as specific instruments for professionals working in extreme environments.
Like the Explorer in 53.
Built tough, super reliable for mountaineers and explorers scaling Everest. Then the GMT Master in 55 for pilots, with that rotating bezel to track 2 time zones at once. Essential for international flights.
These weren't just watches anymore, they were specialized equipment.
Absolutely. And the ultimate demonstration of this was the Deep Sea Special in 1960, an experimental monster of a watch.
The one they sent down into the Mariana Trench.
That's the one. Strapped to the outside of the Bathysic Trieste, it went down almost 11,000 meters, nearly 7 miles, the deepest point in the ocean.
And it survived.
Came back up ticking perfectly. It was the ultimate proof. Our Rolex could handle the highest peaks and the deepest trenches. Wilsdorf had truly conquered the elements. He passed away later that year, 1960, at 79, having built an absolute titan.
So what does this all mean? When you look back, Wilsdorf's story is incredible. Orphaned, robbed, facing world wars, crippling taxes. Yet he channels this passion, this almost obsessive drive, into relentless innovation. The Oyster, the Perpetual, the smart marketing.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the key lesson is that Rolex didn't become Rolex by chasing fashion or luxury trends initially. It became a legend by defining and delivering utility. Accuracy, durability, waterproofness, self-winding, these were solutions to real problems. The luxury status, the icon status that came later, built on that foundation of proven performance.
He made the watch mechanically perfect with the chronometer certificate, then functionally perfect with the Oyster Perpetual design, and then specialized it for extreme use.
He took something people saw as just decorative and turned it into an indispensable tool by perfecting its function.
Which leaves us with something for you, the listener, to think about. What piece of modern tech, what consumer item that you use or see around you is maybe seen right now as mostly decorative or just a fashion statement? But perhaps, like the early wristwatch, it's just one key mechanical or functional breakthrough away from becoming an absolutely essential specialized tool for certain professions or extreme situations. Something to ponder until our next deep dive.